Revealed, the incredible journey of a father and his hidden son, a touching life-changing story. Jack woke before dawn, the soft hum of the factory nagging at the edges of his mind. He stepped out of bed, determined. Each day, he buttoned his faded work shirt like armor, ready to face the endless grind at the factory. To him, hard work was more than just a way to pay the bills, it was his life's mission, a promise to Emma and Lily, his cherished daughters. They looked at him with awe, their laughter music to his tired ears. He was their rock, their protector. But beneath the surface, a storm brewed. A secret lay heavy in Jack's heart, a son named Adam, who he had left behind in the chaos of a troubled marriage. The thought cut like a jagged blade, and the shame of it clawed at him more with each passing day. Yet his focus remained on his girls, those bright lights in his otherwise dim world. With the factory layoffs looming, anxiety gnawed at his insides. He didn't care about his own job, he only wondered how he would keep the refrigerator stocked and laughter in the air for Emma and Lily. Little did he know that fate had other plans. One afternoon, Emma stumbled upon an old social media post. It flickered to life on her screen, revealing Adam's journey, a young man filled with hope, ambition, and a longing to connect. Torn between loyalty to her father and an aching desire to know her brother, tears streamed down her cheeks. What kind of man was Jack, really? Emma's heart ached with a mix of compassion and confusion. The annual small-town festival approached, and the air crackled with anticipation. At the town square, laughter and music floated like a bomb over the fraught emotions swirling inside Jack. But it was there, amidst bright banners and the smell of popcorn, that the confrontation unleashed tensions he had kept buried. "Dad, why didn't you tell us about Adam?" Emma's voice trembled as she stared at him, the hurt in her eyes cutting deeper than any machine in the factory ever could. Jack felt the world tilt beneath him. He tried to defend himself, but the words stuck like a rock in his throat. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As tears welled in Jack's eyes, the world silenced around them. The festival faded, the clattering rides and joyful chatter muted. Then, reality hit him like a freight train. A heartfelt letter from Adam had arrived. Words poured forth, filled with dreams of meeting the family he had yearned for. Jack felt raw emotion crack through his stoic facade. His past, a long shadow over their lives, demanded confrontation. In that heartbeat of silence, the crowd shifted, casting glances filled with judgment. Jack grit his teeth. Could he really face the townsfolk as the father who abandoned his child? But amid the fear was a flicker of hope, the promise of redemption. What if confronting his past could heal his present? As the realization washed over him, Jack's heart raced. He had a choice, to step into the light, or remain cloaked in darkness. Would he be ready for the journey that lay ahead, not just for himself, but for Emma, Lily, and Adam? The questions hung heavy, the air sizzling with anticipation as Jack took a deep breath, ready to face his truths. Jack's breath caught in his throat, caught between the weight of his past and the flicker of hope that ignited in his heart. The laughter of children, the music from the festival, all felt like a distant echo, muffled beneath the tidal wave of emotions crashing over him. Emma stood before him, her eyes searching his for answers. Maybe he couldn't fix everything right away. Maybe it wasn't even about fixing things, maybe it was about showing up. Steeling himself, he raised his chin. "Emma," he started, his voice shaky but determined. "I didn't tell you about Adam because I was scared. I thought it would protect you girls. I didn't want to burden you with the mess I made." The disappointment in her eyes crumpled him. But, Dad, it's not just about you. We deserve to know. We're family, or at least we should be. Her voice wavered, pain lacing every word. Jack could almost grab that agony and hurl it away, but it remained anchored to him. As if sensing the growing tension, Lily approached, holding out her tiny hand, palm up, as if to catch the scattered pieces of their family that threatened to fall apart. Daddy, can we make it better? Her innocent plea tugged at Jack's heartstrings. He knelt down beside her, gathering both girls close. In that moment, he realized he was not just a father, he was a man in desperate need of forgiveness, his own and that of his family. "I haven't been the father you deserve," he confessed, the truth pouring out like a flood. "But I want to try. I need you both to help me find Adam. He's your brother, and he deserves to be part of our lives." Emma's expression softened, her anger giving way to understanding. "You mean, you want us to meet him? But what if he doesn't want to meet us?" Jack felt a tightness in his throat. "I have to reach out first. I may not know what he wants, but I can't hide from this anymore." Moments stretched like taffy under the warm glow of festival lights. The crowd continued to whirl around them, blissfully unaware of the life-changing moment playing out just steps away. "Do you think he'll forgive you?" Emma whispered, her voice small in the cacophony of the festival. "He might not," Jack admitted, "but I owe it to him to try." Courage surged through him. This wasn't just a chance to reconnect with Adam, it was an opportunity to become the kind of father he had always wanted to be. Lily tugged on Jack's sleeve, her big, blue eyes wide and trusting. "Can we do it now?" Jack glanced at Emma, whose expression had shifted from hurt to cautious optimism. "Let's start with a message. It's how I've kept my distance for too long. I'll pull out my phone." A collective breath filled the air around them as Jack stepped back, determination ebbed from his stance. Emma lent her support, helping him sort through the swirling chaos in his mind, each keystroke echoing the gravity of what was unfolding. As he began to type a message to Adam, each word felt like a stone laid in a bridge spanning the chasm of years lost. But even as he typed, another message chimed in from across the crowd. A woman held up a phone, her voice wrapping around them like a shroud. "Is this you, Jack? Adam found you." The world stopped. Jack's eyes widened, and his heart thundered. This was it. The moment of truth had arrived, uninvited yet unavoidable. Could he face Adam after all these years? The unknown loomed, yet hope shimmered just within reach as he gathered the courage to finally reconnect with the son he had lost. As the phone buzzed with anticipation, Jack felt a familiar yet unwelcome sensation, anxiety and hope locked in a dance. What awaited him on the other side? Would Adam welcome him, or had too many bridges burned in silence? Jack's fingers lingered above the screen, wavering. What if this was the start of something beautiful or the end of everything? Jack's heart raced, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. All the years of absence flooded his mind, each memory a sharp point of guilt. He glanced down at Lily, who was still holding his sleeve, her innocence a stark contrast to the heavy burden he carried. Emma's eyes shifted between the phone and her father, worry etched across her young face. "Dad, what does it say?" Emma's voice cut through the static in his brain, snapping him back to the present. The message on the woman's phone was still visible across the small crowd. A new buzz of life surrounded them, people dancing and laughing as the festival surged on. But for Jack, time felt suspended. He could see Adam's name glowing on the screen, a beacon and a dagger all at once. With a deep breath, Jack moved forward instinctively. He shoved his hand into his pocket, feeling the smooth surface of his phone like a lifeline. "I need to reply," he murmured, seeking reassurance in his own words. "Okay, Dad," Emma replied quietly. "Just be honest." He nodded, his throat tight. Honesty felt so daunting when paired with the idea of reaching out to a son he hadn't seen in years. What would he say? He wanted to pour out everything, the regret, the hope, the love, but how could he possibly express it all in just a few lines? As he raised the phone to his face, his thumb hovered over the keyboard, unsure and hesitant. Then, the woman's voice broke through again, sharper now. "Jack! You have to see this." Curiosity flared within him, battling against the desire to take charge and respond. He stepped closer, peering at her phone as Emma and Lily huddled beside him. There it was, a message from Adam, typed moments before. 3 words. "I'm ready." Jack's breath hitched again. The room spun just slightly, his heart pounding in response. Was it true? Was Adam actually willing to communicate? "Can I read it?" Emma asked, her voice barely above a whisper yet filled with the weight of possibility. "Let me," he started, but found himself handing over the phone. She needed to be part of this moment. Together, they leaned in, sharing the screen, both overwhelmed with uncertainty and hope. Lily tilted her head, innocent and curious. "What does it mean? Is he coming to see us?" Jack couldn't find the words. Emma's eyes sparkled with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. They shared a moment that transcended years of silence. They were finally taking steps toward healing, not just for Jack, but for their little family, now brought together by the chance of something more. "I think it means he wants to connect," Jack replied finally, his voice more grounded than before, infused with new purpose. Emma's hopeful smile gave him strength. "Then let us do it. Let us meet him." Jack looked at his daughters, their expressions filled with determination. "Yes, we will," he affirmed, feeling the stirring of courage inside him. They gathered around, each knowing they had embarked on a journey that would ripple through their lives. But as Jack composed the reply, a feeling loomed larger than excitement, a fear of rejection if Adam's heart had closed. What if this opportunity slipped through their fingers just as they grasped it? He typed slowly, his mind racing through each sentence, careful but desperate. As he hit send, a wave of conflicting emotions washed over him. The future was uncertain, but in this moment, they had taken the step forward together. With a heart full of apprehension yet ignited by hope, Jack glanced at Emma and Lily. "I guess we wait now." The festival may have been loud, but to them, silence felt just as potent. Seconds stretched into long moments, as if the world had paused, holding its breath alongside them. What would the next message bring? Would Adam respond? As they stood together, Jack realized something profound. No matter what happened now, they had already taken the most important step of all together. But deep within, a nagging question lingered: would Adam feel the same bond that had sparked this unexpected journey? Would he even care to bridge the gap between fathers and sons? Jack tightened his grip on his daughters, ready to face whatever came next. The minutes felt like hours, each second dragging on painfully while Jack's heart thudded in his chest. Emma and Lily stood by him, their excitement mingling with worry, all 3 of them rooted in that moment as the festival raged on around them. Jack could barely hear the music and laughter anymore, the noise fading into a distant hum. "Maybe he won't reply," Lily whispered, her eyes darting to Jack. He felt a pang in his chest, the weight of Lily's words hitting harder than he wanted to admit. "He just needs time," Jack said gently, his voice steady despite the unease coiling in his stomach. "It's a big step for him too." The 3 of them stood close together, the warmth of his daughters fighting against the cold early evening air. Jack glanced up at the swirling lights strung overhead, their glow casting soft shadows on their faces, and he thought about all the moments they had lost. Each laugh, each birthday, every milestone Adam would never know. Just then, his phone buzzed in his pocket, making him jump. He dashed to retrieve it, fumbling it in his urgency. Emma squeezed Lily's hand, her eyes wide with anticipation. Jack turned to face them, his heart pounding, a mix of dread and hope swirling within him. He opened the message with shaking hands. A single line glowed back at him, stark against the white screen. "When and where?" Is that? Emma's voice trailed off, eyes hopeful yet cautious. Yes. Jack nearly shouted, the thrill of the moment flooding through him. He wants to meet. Lily bounced on her toes, clapping her hands, while Emma wrapped her arms around Jack, squeezing tightly. This is amazing. We're finally going to see him. Calm washed over Jack, but it didn't completely chase away the nagging fears. We need to think about where. It's important, he said, trying to temper their excitement with caution. Somewhere public. Emma added quickly. So it feels safe. That makes sense. Jack nodded, grateful for her insight. The last thing he wanted was to add any pressure to the meeting. What about that cafe near the park? It's quiet but friendly. I love that place. Lily chimed in, her face lighting up. They have the best hot chocolate. Just as he began to type out their plan, a new wave of anxiety washed over Jack. What if Adam changed his mind? What if this was just another fleeting moment that slipped away? He rubbed the back of his neck, swallowing hard as he fought through the panic. We'll wait for him, right? Emma's voice, steady and confident, reached him through his tumult of thoughts. It'll be okay. He wants to see us. He really does. Jack took a deep breath. Emma was right. They had to trust this. Okay. We'll send him the details, and then. Lily chimed in with a grin. We can go grab ice cream while we wait. It'll be fun. Jack chuckled, the sound lightening the mood. The thought of ice cream felt like a little beacon of joy amid the seriousness. Why not? We can think about what we want to say. They agreed to send Adam the details and decided on ice cream afterward, something simple yet sweet to celebrate this new chapter. Jack's heart began to fill with a cautious optimism. As they prepared to send the message, Jack glanced at his daughters. No matter what happens, I want you both to know how proud I am of you too. Emma and Lily smiled back at him, their luminous faces shining in the glow of the festival lights. But even as they shared this moment, Jack couldn't shake the question that lingered in his mind: would Adam even recognize the family they'd become? Would the sight of them still spark anything in him? With determination, Jack hit send and took a breath. The hard part was now behind them, but the hardest was still yet to come, standing on the cusp of what could be a reunion, a bridge to a past he desperately wanted to mend. Now we just wait, he said, a hint of nervousness creeping back into his voice. Where would Adam take them on this journey they were about to embark on? Would the bond be enough to carry them forward? The lights danced in a swirling blur as Jack, Emma, and Lily made their way through the festival. Laughter and chatter enveloped them, yet their world felt oddly separate from the joy around. Jack's heart raced with lingering anticipation, each footstep carrying a weight of expectation. Do you think he'll show up? Lily asked, her voice small, breaking through Jack's swirling thoughts. Jack looked down at her, the innocence in her gaze pulling at his heart. He will, sweetheart. I can feel it, he reassured, squeezing her hand gently. He wanted to believe that this time would be different. As they reached the cafe, a cozy nook amid the revelry, a part of Jack wanted to run for the door and hide, to escape the impending meeting. But another part, the hopeful part, reminded him just how important this was. They needed to create a space, a bridge that would connect them all. Emma linked her arm with Jack as they stepped inside, the warmth enveloping them. The smell of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the earthy scent of pastries, grounding him slightly. A hot chocolate for you, Lil? She asked, already guessing her answer. Yes, please. Lily chirped, her earlier worries giving way to the promise of sweet warmth. As they settled at a corner table, Jack's fingers drummed nervously against the wood. The cafe had a few patrons scattered throughout, but it felt intimate enough for the conversation that loomed ahead. He could visualize Adam walking in, a moment frozen in time, a reunion rich with possibility. What if he doesn't remember us? Emma pondered, a shadow crossing her face. Jack took a deep breath. Then we remind him. We show him who we are now. The conviction in his voice surprised even him. It was a small step, but nonetheless a step worth taking. They reviewed their plans while waiting for Adam, the simple conversation stripping away some of the tension. Jack couldn't help but steal glances at his daughters, their faces lighting up with such anticipation, blending hope and fear. Each little laugh from Emma or squeal from Lily made his heart swell with pride. However, the flutter of anxiety would not let go, tightening each time a bell jingled with the cafe door swinging open. He was running through various scenarios in his mind, imagining Adam's face as he stepped in. Would he smile? Would he look confused? Would there be sadness or anger in his eyes? Moments turned into half an hour. Jack felt the excitement change to nervousness as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting longer shadows. The hours spent waiting transformed into an eternity. What if he is too scared? Jack murmured. But Emma, wise beyond her years, shook her head firmly. He'll come, Dad. Just like us. They quickly finished their drinks and wandered outside. The night had deepened, and the festival lights glowed like stars above them. Jack glanced around, hoping to see a familiar figure cutting through the crowd. Just then, as if summoned by his thoughts, Jack's phone vibrated in his pocket again. His heart sank as he fished it out, the air electric with anticipation. What is it? Emma asked, a breathless curiosity shining in her eyes. Jack's fingers shook slightly as he read the screen. He's here. Before he could finish, he saw Adam standing a few feet away, glancing around, uncertainty etched across his face. Jack's heart raced. This was the moment he had been waiting for, the moment they would finally confront the past. But as Jack looked, he realized Adam wasn't alone. He had brought someone with him. Who could that be? Jack's mind raced. Was it someone from the past? A friend, a partner? The questions swirled, and just like that, a new wave of uncertainty washed over him. Let us go, he said, nerves bubbling as they stepped closer. As they approached, Jack's heart thundered. This was it. The very moment life could change in unimaginable ways. And yet, deep down, he knew what lay ahead might change everything they thought they understood about family and about love. What impact would this new person have on the fragile bond they were trying to rebuild? Jack's breath caught in his throat as they moved closer. The shadows around Adam danced, making his figure appear larger than life. He stood there, shifting uncomfortably, and for a split second, Jack felt the weight of all the years that had passed between them. Adam turned slightly, his gaze finally falling on Jack. It was a blend of recognition and confusion, like a puzzle piece trying to fit into a picture it had long forgotten. Then Jack's eyes shifted to the figure beside him. A young man, probably in his early 20s, stood a bit back, his hands tucked into the pockets of his jacket, watching intently. There was a resemblance one Jack couldn't ignore. The same dark hair, the same light blue eyes. Emma and Lily paused, sensing the tension swirling in the air. Lily tugged at Jack's shirt with her small hand, her innocent curiosity breaking the silence. Daddy, who is he? Before Jack could answer, Adam stepped forward, his voice trembling slightly. Adam, Jack replied, the word escaping as a mix of a greeting and an invitation. This is, Ethan. Adam gestured awkwardly toward the young man beside him, who offered a shy smile in return. Hi, Ethan said, looking between them, seeming to sense the intensity of the moment. Jack's heart raced, the pieces falling into place painfully. This was Adam's son. His stomach churned, both with anger and an aching hope. You've got a son, he whispered, disbelief lacing his words. Adam nodded slowly, shame bleeding into his features. I didn't know about him until recently. When I found out, I didn't want to complicate things. Complicate things? Jack echoed incredulously. You think leaving was the answer? Each word felt weighted, laced with hurt and a fatherly instinct to protect. Please, let me explain. Adam's voice cracked, the distress evident. Emma and Lily exchanged glances, the puzzle unfolding before their eyes. What do you mean you didn't know? Emma finally asked, her voice steady. How could you not? It's a long story, Adam admitted, his gaze darting to Ethan, who stood quietly, clearly caught in the crossfire of emotions. But what about us? Jack asked, his tone softening now but still holding a thread of pain. About our family? I came back to try and fix things, Adam stammered. I want Ethan to meet you, to understand where he comes from. Jack's chest tightened at that revelation. This boy, with the same spark in his eyes, had been born from the disconnect that had shattered his family. And what about Lily, what about Emma, he pressed, looking from Adam to Ethan. You think they'll just accept you waltzing back in with this sudden revelation? Ethan shifted uncomfortably. I didn't ask for any of this, he said quietly. I was just living my life and now we can talk, Jack replied abruptly, his breath catching with the weight of unresolved emotions. But there's a lot to unpack. He realized suddenly that he didn't just have questions for Adam. He had questions for Ethan too. Let us go sit down, Emma suggested gently, a glimmer of hope in her voice. It's too loud out here. As they started moving toward the cafe entrance, Jack's mind buzzed. Questions collided within him: what Adam had made of their absence, how he navigated the path of fatherhood without them, and what Ethan thought of his newfound family. The future stretched before them like an untraveled road filled with uncertainties. But one undeniable truth lingered: they were about to take the first few steps toward understanding and, hopefully, healing. Jack could feel his heart thumping heavily, the tension a tangible force. Would this really change everything for them? And as he caught a glimpse of Ethan's face, he couldn't shake the feeling that perhaps, in the chaos, they might find a new definition of family. What other surprises lay ahead as they faced this daunting challenge together? Inside the cafe, the air was thick with an aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the soft murmur of conversation. Jack slid into a corner booth, the uncomfortable plastic a stark contrast to the emotions swirling within him. Adam followed suit, taking the seat across from him, while Ethan settled beside his father. Emma gestured for Lily to sit next to her, creating a protective circle around the boys. Jack glanced at the bustling cafe around them, but his focus was entirely on the three people at the table. This wasn't just a reunion, it felt like a reckoning. Okay, Jack began, attempting to steady his voice. Let us start from the top. Adam, why didn't you tell me sooner about Ethan? Why now? Adam ran his fingers through his hair, the familiar motion igniting a flicker of nostalgia in Jack. I didn't know how, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. For a long time, I thought I wasn't ready to be a father. I didn't want to get back into things with you before I figured out my own life. I wanted to make sure I could be the man that Ethan could be proud of. Jack shook his head, frustration bubbling up. You think disappearing solved anything? You left us, Adam. You walked away from everything. Ethan's eyes darted between the two men, his lips pressed into a tight line as if fighting his own battle of emotions. I just found out about all of this, he interjected softly, his voice trembling. I didn't know who you were either. My whole life, it was just my mom and me. It's a lot to take in. Emma reached over, placing a hand on Ethan's shoulder. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. We all are. Her voice, typically warm and reassuring, seemed to embrace the quiet storm gathering at their table. Ethan met her gaze, and Jack could see something beyond the confusion and understanding starting to blossom. I didn't ask for a father I didn't know about. But now that I'm here, I want to understand. There was an unexpected strength in his words, a yearning for connection that resonated deeply within Jack. Are you angry? Adam asked, leaning forward, his eyes searching Ethan's. I guess I'm confused. Ethan shrugged, his expression softening. But I'm willing to listen. I mean, if you're all okay with it. What about Lily and Emma? Jack questioned, motioning toward his daughters. This isn't just about you two. There's history here. And it involves them. Adam looked at the girls, whose small faces brimming with innocence stood in stark contrast to the emotional turmoil. I want them to know the truth too, he said finally. They deserve to know who I am, and what happened. Lily tugged on Jack's sleeve. Daddy, can we have ice cream later? Her voice was small, sweet in the midst of the storm. It was a reminder that, while their world was shifting, some things stayed the same. Jack chuckled, an unexpected burst of warmth in the chilly space. Sure, ice cream sounds good. But we need to finish this first. Emma leaned in closer, her gaze steady and compassionate. I think we all need to sort through our feelings first. Maybe this isn't about blame, maybe it's about finding a way to be family again. Jack's heart swelled, mixed with a sense of dread. Could they really go back to being a family? Could an unexpected circumstance like Ethan be woven into the fabric they had long held together? As silence blanketed the booth, Jack felt the pulse of hope running through the threads of their tangled lives. What did it even mean to be a family anymore? Would they accept this new narrative, or would it shatter everything they knew? Jack stared deeply into Ethan's eyes, seeking an anchor in this whirlwind. Behind the curve of the conversation lay the question that begged for resolution. How would they all confront the past, and what would their future look like now that the walls of separation were crumbling? Jack's gaze lingered on Ethan, a mix of admiration and uncertainty swirling in his chest. So, what do you want? He finally asked. The question felt heavy, braided with expectation and fear. Ethan's brow furrowed slightly. I don't know. I guess. I want to know about my dad. I want to know about you, Jack. I want to know what I missed. His voice trembled, revealing just how raw this moment was for him. Adam shifted uncomfortably, the weight of guilt settling on his shoulders. You deserve to know the truth, my truth. His voice cracked, cracking through the tension like a small window opened to fresh air. It hasn't been easy for me either. Lily, sitting with her legs crossed and hands folded in her lap, looked up at her father. But if he's your son, does that mean he's my brother? Her innocent question pulled the thread of the conversation into a new light. Jack met Emma's eyes, searching for an answer to that question too. The idea was both beautiful and terrifying. How would that shift their family dynamic? Could they really embrace a new brother, a new member, without tearing apart the parts they had fought so hard to preserve? Yes, Jack said slowly, thinking carefully, if you both want to be brothers, then Ethan is your brother. The words tumbled out, hard to grasp and yet somehow liberating. Emma smiled gently at Ethan, her eyes reflecting hope. Family isn't just about blood, you know. It's about the bonds we create. It takes time and effort. Just like everything else worth having. Ethan nodded, absorbing the weight of her words. Suddenly, there was a spark of determination in his gaze. I want to try. I want to understand what it's like to be part of this family. The cafe buzzed around them, waiters carrying trays, laughter spilling from nearby tables, but the four of them were in a world of their own, clinging to words that would chart a new course. Unbeknownst to them, that initial connection was fragile, open to both beautiful possibilities and heartbreak. Adam sighed, finally allowing himself to breathe. You're brave, Ethan. I didn't expect you to respond like that. I might be confused, Ethan replied, looking straight at Adam, but I think it's brave to face the past head-on, right? To figure out where to go from here. Jack realized that these moments of vulnerability were what would forge the new connections they desperately needed. But clarity was the first step, and it didn't come easily. What about your mother? How does she feel about this? He figured it wasn't fair to move forward without acknowledging the women who had shaped their lives, the ones holding pieces of their hearts. Ethan's expression shifted, a shadow passing over him. She's going to be upset. This isn't what she wanted for me, knowing who my dad is and everything that comes with it. For a brief moment, the reality of the situation hit them like a cool wave. The four of them were standing on the brink of a daunting transformation. Would the love and longing to connect outweigh the pain of the past? Look, we can work on this together, Emma said, breaking the silence that enveloped them. We face our hurdles one step at a time. Jack felt the warmth of her words seep into him. It was a reminder that they didn't have to carry this burden alone. Right, Jack agreed, his voice steadier now. We can tackle this. As a family. But as Jack looked at Ethan, a new wave of anxiety washed over him. What would happen when the call came from Ethan's mother? Would it send them spiraling apart again, leaving damage in its wake? Just as he contemplated the road ahead, the door of the cafe swung open, and a figure stepped inside. Jack's heart raced. Who was this unexpected arrival, and what would it mean for their fragile reconnection? The figure at the door was a woman, tall and striking, with a mane of dark curls that fell over her shoulders. Her eyes scanned the room, a mix of urgency and apprehension threading through her features. Jack's breath caught in his throat. The way she carried herself was familiar. It was like catching a glimpse of a ghost from his past, one he had hoped to never encounter again. Ethan's gaze shifted to Jack, his brow furrowing. Do you know her? The question was barely a whisper, but the weight behind it was palpable. Yeah, Jack managed, feeling his heart pound in his chest. That's Sarah. Your mom. Ethan's eyes widened, understanding dawning, and Jack felt vulnerability crash over him like cold water. Would this woman, who held the key to Ethan's history, bring the storm he had feared? Should we? Emma began, but her voice trailed off, concern etched across her face. Let us see what she wants, Jack said, the words coming out more steady than he felt. As Sarah took a step inside, the atmosphere shifted. The cafe felt smaller, the light dimmer. Ethan, Sarah called, her voice sharp and filled with an edge of desperation. Ethan took a step forward, almost instinctively. The tension was thick enough to cut. Jack glanced at Adam, whose face had drained of color, the guilt written all over his features. Mom. Ethan's voice broke through the chorus of murmurs, excitement battling with anxiety. Jack watched as Ethan took another step closer, and the rest of the world around them faded to distant chatter. Why are you here? Ethan asked, uncertainty lacing his voice. This was at the moment that could shift everything. Sarah hesitated. Her gaze flickered between Ethan and Jack, her expression shifting from resolve to uncertainty. I came to find you, she finally replied, the edge in her voice softening as it gave way to something rawer. I wanted to talk. Jack felt a coil of protectiveness tighten in his chest. This wasn't just about Ethan anymore. This was about the choices they all had made, every tangled thread that led them to this moment. Ethan's hand gripped the edge of the table as he hesitated, clearly torn. Talk about what? About him? His accusation slipped out, sharp and pointed. The hurt was flickering in his eyes, glowing like an ember. Sarah flinched, her shoulders slumping slightly under the weight of her son's words. No. About us. About the life we've had. I didn't expect you to meet him like this. I didn't choose this. Ethan shot back, frustration bubbling. You kept me away. All my life, you never told me what I needed to know. The cafe hummed around them, the flicker of distant conversations suddenly loud. Jack could feel everyone's eyes on them, and it felt like standing on a precipice. One misstep, and everything could plummet. This isn't fair. Sarah said, a hint of panic creeping into her tone. You deserve to know the truth, but this isn't how I wanted you to find out. The four of them stood like statues, hearts racing. Jack's mind raced with all the things left unspoken, the shadows of the past that loomed over them. Emma's hand found his, grounding him in the storm. "Let us all sit down," Jack suggested, his voice steadying despite the chaos inside. "We need to talk." The moment hung thick in the air, everyone weighing their emotions, their pasts, and what this conversation could lead to. A chance to heal, or further heartache loomed ahead. Jack took a breath, readying himself for the oncoming tide. Whatever was to come next was something none of them could walk away from, but deep down, he believed they could face it together if they dared. As they gathered at the table, the atmosphere weighed heavy with unspoken truths. Just as Jack opened his mouth to speak, a loud crash echoed from behind them, cutting through the tension. What now? Jack thought, dread pooling in his stomach. He turned to see a waitress dropping a tray of dishes, the sound echoing like a dire warning what else was about to come crashing down in their newly formed family. The dishes shattered like the many questions hanging in the air, drawing everyone's attention momentarily. Jack took a deep breath to steady himself. This was not a time for distractions. The world outside their small bubble might be a cacophony of noise, but here, they needed to find clarity. "Let us focus," Jack said, his voice cutting through the lingering chaos. He locked eyes with Ethan, trying to convey all the words he struggled to muster. "We need to talk about who we are to each other." Ethan, visibly tensed, glanced between his mother and Jack. I want to understand why this is happening now. What has changed?" Jack felt the weight of that question in his gut. It hit him like a truck. Everything had changed, but how to explain it? "Your mother and I made choices a long time ago. Choices that hurt people," he began slowly, feeling every word press into him like lead. "I'm here to fix what I can, for you and for Adam." Sarah's gaze flickered, her posture rigid as defense cloaked her. "And all these years, you didn't think about how it affected Ethan?" She interjected, her voice steady even as pain brimmed beneath. "We didn't know." Adam burst out, his desperation etched on his face. "I didn't know how to be a father then. We all have baggage, we all have regrets." Ethan shook his head, uncertainty radiating from him. "Easier said than done. I can't just jump into a family that you two broke. I don't even know you." The silence that followed was charged with tension, pulsating in the air like static electricity. Jack's heart sank. "I understand you're scared. We all are. This is new territory for all of us. But what lies ahead could be something beautiful," Jack said, hoping his words would sink in. He looked around the table at the faces he desperately wanted to connect with, a chain that they might learn to forge if given the chance. "Why?" Ethan asked, eyebrow raised, the skepticism cutting through the heavy atmosphere. "What's so beautiful about a family that's been broken for years? Do I just step in and pretend none of it ever happened?" "Not pretend," Jack replied, inhaling deeply. "It's about acknowledgement, the pain, the joy, all of it. That's what family is. It's learning to accept one another despite the flaws." The weight of those words hung unmoving, but Jack could see the slightest shift in Ethan's eyes, a spark of understanding amid the tempest of emotions. "And how do we do that?" Emma interjected, her small voice like a life buoy thrown into a churning sea. "How do we learn each other's stories?" "That's what we're here to do," Jack encouraged, feeling a surge of urgency. "To share everything, our fears, our doubts, our hopes. To show you that we're all woven together by love, even if it's buried under hurt." A flicker crossed Sarah's face, something akin to regret. "I kept him away out of fear. Fear of failing him like I felt I'd failed before," she admitted, her voice breaking. Ethan's silence spoke volumes. "And here we are, all of us afraid. How do we move forward together?" Jack spoke gently, casting a wide net of hope. "By being honest. By sharing what we're afraid of, about who we are, and who we want to be. Simon, the waitress, came over to clean the mess from earlier, her expression softening as she caught sight of the tense conversation. She offered a warm smile, and for a brief moment, the heavy air lightened, unnoticed by the group cloistered around their table. "I could use some fresh coffee," Jack said, looking around. "Maybe some hot chocolate for our little ones?" The momentary respite created a ripple of agreement as the waitress nodded and left, promising to return quickly. Ethan finally turned to his mother, determination lining his features. "I guess we start by sharing our stories. The good and the bad." A nod of agreement rippled through the group, and Jack felt a swell of hope. This was exactly what they needed, a bridge forged through shared vulnerability. Emma squeezed Lily's hand tighter, encouraging light to seep into the shaded edges of the atmosphere. "I want to tell you everything," she said, addressing Ethan, her voice steadier than before. The eventual conversation weaved its way through the table as they opened up, piece by piece, like a patchwork quilt. Over cups of steaming hot chocolate and coffee, they began untangling the threads that led them all here, to this very moment. Jack shared how he constantly grappled with regret, how he hoped to be better. Adam revealed the fear that had anchored him in silence for years. Sarah spoke of her need to protect Ethan from a world that had let them both down. And as the pieces started to come together, Jack realized something profound: they were no longer just strangers bound by blood but rather threads woven together by hope, truth, and a shared commitment to healing. Ethan finally looked across the table. "Okay, I see where we're starting. But the road to family isn't paved by just talk, it's action. We can't just say we're family and not live it." "Yes," Emma echoed, adding, "family means being there for each other." They all nodded in agreement. Realizing that this wasn't just about the past anymore, it was about carving out a future where love and forgiveness would lie at the heart of their new family. With this realization, the tension began to melt, an unspoken understanding emerging among them. As they ventured forward in that busy cafe, Jack glanced outside, watching the festival lights flicker against the dusk. "If we face this together," Jack began firmly, "we might just transform all that hurt into something beautiful." And as he said those words, a flicker of hope ignited within him. They hadn't just shared stories, they had laid the foundation for a family reborn from the ashes, a family willing to carve their own path, embracing both the past and the limitless possibilities the future offered. Jack's phone buzzed in his pocket, but for now, they weren't afraid to look ahead. This was their moment. And they were ready to step forward together, hand in hand, heart to heart. Now, here's the moment you have all been waiting for. Don't forget to subscribe immediately to our channel so you won't miss any more exclusive stories like this. Your support means the world to us. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread these powerful messages. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this heartfelt ending. And remember to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. This is the moment to show your support, so don't wait not even one more second. True fans understand the importance of standing together.